This is the Daily Insider. I am Tom Carroll. You are here with me, and we're going to talk some NBA playoffs here. And who better to do it with than Michael Crosson, Tom Cunningham. Let's welcome in the boys. We're going to talk about tonight's slate. We got Warriors, Grizzlies. We got Celtics, Bucks. I don't know if you guys will be able to predict where I'm going in the early game. I don't know if the hat gives it away, but let's go to Michael here first. What do you think is going to happen in Milwaukee tonight? Is history going to continue here with the team that's up 3-2 in a series, just getting things done in game 6, or do we get 7? Can we please get 7 at least? Please, because this series has been awesome, whether you like the Celtics, Bucks or not, you know?
It has been awesome, especially because it's been such a weird series where you're not even really seeing the home team dominate most of the games. But even last game, like the Bucks, they probably should have lost that game. The Celtics were trailing most of the game or leading most of the game. But then they didn't have a defensive answer for Giannis, clearly. I mean, but yeah, I think the Bucks will get it done at home. You guys pass it to Tom.
Listen, Tom, Robert Williams probably returning tonight. And look, I don't even think his absence was really felt that much until game 5 when Giannis kind of did what he wanted. But it was really Bobby Portis doing what he wanted on the boards that kind of changed the game. I mean, the Celtics couldn't grab a rebound at the end there, and it helped the Bucks go on that crazy run in the fourth quarter. Him being back before, I didn't think it was a big deal. After game 5, I'm like, please, I'm begging you to be back. Just be big. Just be in the way. Is that going to impact the game enough for the Celtics to get the win on the road here?
I mean, I don't know. Time will tell. But the thing that it should do is, hinder any shots down low that Portis gets off of any rebounds. He didn't really shoot the ball particularly well in the last game, especially near the rim. And then he had that one at the end, the buzzer beater, basically, with the missed free throw that actually did go in. So, Robert Williams, he can only add length down low. So I don't think it'll hurt. And if Bobby Portis, it was struggling last game to put the ball into the rim, when he was near the rim, it doesn't bode well today or tonight, rather. The trend, though, I'm looking at is the road team has won the last 2. And so that would tell you Boston should be able to win if that trend holds true. But there's also some other trends that do back Milwaukee. So Michael can go ahead and tell you that the point total has actually been going under a lot these playoffs. And that would kind of lead you to the best bet being the under. But for this series, it seems like the over might actually hit. It's hit the last 2 games, and I believe it has hit in 6 of 7 in Milwaukee when these 2 teams play. So I don't know, Michael, what do you like in the point total here? Because you know as better as anybody that it keeps going under this postseason, but there are some signs that it might go over tonight with this game. What do you think?
And I played the under for most of this series, but the Celtics have just picked up the pace offensively lately. Like, I think there's a trend for even the Celtics. I think the total's gone over in a lot of their games lately, and then the Bucks kind of lean towards the under. But it really is. It's 2 of the best defensive teams in the league. If Boston probably is the best defensive team in the league, but it's one of those things where I lean to the under. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me to play the over, especially as we get down to the wire in this series. I think we're going to see just the defense continue to increase. But yeah, I like the under.
I like the under as well for all the reasons you mentioned. 2 awesome defensive teams. You know that they're going to be bringing their A game. We mentioned it already. Time Lord being back, being big down there in the paint. He's going to foul dudes. He's going to use all 6 fouls. That's going to slow things down. And I would take the under, even if it gets down to like 210. I'd be on the under here. I see it being a dogfight as it has been, throughout this series. And I'm looking at Bucks 1.5. It's staring me in the face. Look, my heart is telling me no. Hammer Celtics money line, hammer them against the spread. Just go all in. This thing's going game 7. But I think I saw a stat earlier today, something like 82% of the time when you're up 3-2 at home, you close out the series. Like history is not on Boston's side, but they're incredible after a loss. I forget what it is. I think it's 9-1 after a loss.
Let's see. Yeah, they've won 1, 2. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight after a loss. Their last back-to-back was March 28th and 30th. They were at Toronto, lost by 3, and then they went back home and lost to the Heat. So that was their last back-to-back.
Celtics are 12-1 against the spread in their last 13 on the road, 4-0 against the spread on the road in the playoffs. So, but with the number at 1.5, it's almost like.
Well, also the Bucks, they've won 8 straight closeout games. So
yeah, it's oh God, I'm just gonna be sweating my ass
Michael,
off.
who are you taking the win? Like not point total. Like I know you're taking the point total, but if you had to pick one team, like who would you take? And then I mean, I guess would that correlate with a prop? Like if you like Boston, will Tatum over 29 points be a good prop? Because he has to get that for Boston to win. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I actually played Milwaukee in this game. I actually stayed away from the under just because I got burnt in the under either 2 straight or 2 of the last 3. But just at home -1.5. Like I actually expected the Bucks to be favored probably around 3.5, 4 points in this game. But yeah, that 1.5, it just feels like hard to not play it. But I think I haven't looked at many props today, but Bobby Portis, I would think 3-pointers at home, or even just Bobby Portis points. I think that he just tends to show up at home, or Drew Holiday. Like I think if the Bucks do get done this game, it'll be because their supporting cast outplays Boston's in this game. Like I think Boston's supporting cast will probably struggle on the road here. I don't think you're going to get 27 points or however many points Jaylen Brown scored last game.
Bobby Portis, the line for 3-pointers right now is set at 1.5. So that actually feels like a really safe bet there. And you can go over 1.5 at +185 right now, a lot of places.
Yeah, it's like if the Bucks win this game, I see this as one of those games where Pat Connaughton hits a couple big threes, or Bob, like some of their supporting role guys to hit threes. I think that's what to look at Milwaukee's role.
I think Brook Lopez might be a good option there. He's actually scored 12 or more points in 8 straight home games, and his over/under is 10.5 points at -110. Do you think Giannis gets 33.5?
Yes. That guy eats 40-point games for breakfast, dude. I'm actually looking at his points, assists, rebounds combo. I love that picture. I know what it represents, but I hate it. But I love it. 53.5 for the points, assists, rebounds combo there. I like the over, dude. I mean, he's just an absolute freak. He puts his team on his back in the postseason. This is what he does. He's the freak, dude. He's impossible to defend. Even when you're doing a good job on him, he still gets 40. Like it's been weird. I've been watching every game, obviously, and I've been with buddies, and we've been saying, it doesn't feel like the Celtics are doing a bad job on Giannis. It's like, I think we're doing a great job. And then you look at the box score at the end of every game, and it's like, wait, he somehow ended with 38 points. How did that happen? It sneaks up on you. He's just, it's impossible, man. That's why this game is terrifying. I'm terrified.
Yeah. You got Michael.
I was about to say, I will say Horford did do a good job on Giannis in the first 2 games. So I think he held him probably under 40% in those games. But either way, it's just one of those things where, if he's going to go off, he's going to go off. I don't know if I think he'll save his big game for game 7 on the road if they need it. Like, I think if they get it done here, it will come from exterior sources.
What do we think about Jason Tatum tonight? Do we like any of his props? I mean, he hasn't really had that big Jason Tatum game in a few games here. He's been kind of quiet as far as Tatum standards go. In recent months, do we like Tatum's over? Do we like him rebounds? Do we like him assists? What do we like in the Tatum prop market for this evening?
So there's two here. He's actually scored 30 or more in the last two. His over-under is 29.5 in a must-win game. I'd probably leave that one to Michael to take. And then the other trend I saw, was two actually, 7 or more rebounds in 5 of 6 playoff games when facing elimination. So he's active on the glass and close out in must-win games. He's seen at least 1 block in a staggering 13 of 16 against the Bucks. Over 0.5 blocks is minus 120. So I'd probably go with a block just because that trend is quite astounding, 13 of 16. The rebound seems interesting, but Michael, what do you think of Tatum? Will he touch 30 tonight?
I do like the block number. I think stay away from his points. I think Tatum is bothered by something with his wrist right now. You can kind of see him favoring his shooting wrist. But either way, 30 points, I think he will go over if I had to pick a side of the over-under. Just must-win game, and he's their superstar, and I don't think he's going to get much help tonight. So, yeah, I'd play the over.
So you like under for Jaylen Brown at 23.5?
Oh, are we talking for Jaylen Brown? Did I say Jaylen Brown?
No. But you're saying he's not going to get much help. Earlier you were saying Jaylen Brown, you didn't expect him to have a big game. So we're looking to, the second banana here. Is he going to get over or under 23.5 points?
I would play Jaylen Brown's under probably. That would probably be where I lean.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he had a big game earlier this series, right? And he's played well. It didn't feel like Milwaukee really had an answer for him early in the series, but they've seemed to figure him out. I don't know. It's a tough. That's like the perfect number, right? Like they do this to us on purpose. They want me to take that over, but it's like he's gonna land at 23 points. Like that is that is where I see him landing.
You can buy up or down. Most books will offer a buy up or down, like an alternate line. So you could always do that. But I mean, just looking through it here, I think the block number is probably your best bet for props tonight. Jason Tatum.
So I'm looking at 3-point field goals here, and I'm looking at Grayson Allen at 1.5. Is this the game that we get Grayson Allen, really involved here? It seems like they've tried a lot of different strategies to get him in the mix, and it hasn't necessarily clicked all the way. Grayson Allen at 1.5 threes. I think I like the over there. At home, role player. I'm targeting like a couple 3-pointers down the stretch here for Grayson. What do you guys think?
I'll go first. He hasn't done that in 4 straight. He did it against the Celtics in game 1, and then they've really limited him. He actually had 6 3-pointers in that first game, and he's only had at the most 4 since. So I think Boston has actually done a good job kind of making it difficult for him. Because if you look, I mean, game 3 against the Bulls, he had 5. After that against the Bulls, game 4, he had 6. And then he had 3 against the Bulls to close them out. And then he had 3 against Boston to open. And in 4 straight games since then, Boston has only allowed him to shoot make 1 or less 3-pointers. So I don't know. I probably would stay away from Grayson Allen in that regard, especially since Boston is desperate tonight. You're probably going to see a really good defensive team from Boston, would be my guess.
Do you guys like anyone in the turnovers market here? That's always a fun one to bet on. Who do we think is going to have the worst game handling the ball here? I kind of like Marcus Smart over 2.5 turnovers, sitting there at minus 125. The dude, I love the guy to death, but down the stretch, he just loses it sometimes. It's just he's like a rabid animal, like just going all over the place, flinging the ball around, So that feels like kind of a safe bet to me. Over 2.5 on the turnover market.
Yeah,
Michael,
Tom, you got
anybody?
anything you're looking at? That's what I was thinking.
I don't.
What's Giannis's line at? Giannis and Tatum. I kind of like
4.5.
the offensive guys 4.5. I mean,
Yeah, you
Tatum's
see,
took
yeah,
care. He's taken care of the ball last few games, but if it's one of those things, if the Celtics are gonna lose, I think Tatum's probably gonna turn the ball over at least 3 times. So I mean, I'd look there, or yeah, I don't play turnover props often.
Yeah, my whole thing is you probably want someone who handles the ball a lot. So, but I'm looking at these lines and they're just like Drew Holiday 2.5. I'm good on that. Giannis 4.5. I'm good on that.
Yeah,
Maybe in the paint you get some traffic with Portis and Lopez at half a turnover, but I would lean towards point guards and ball handlers, but those lines are not appetizing at all. At least the ones I'm looking at, I wouldn't touch it. Oh, you're on mute, Tom.
I'm back. Let's talk about the late game. We got what I think is one of the most locks of locks we've seen this postseason. Warriors hosting the Grizzlies after getting absolutely spanked. Guys, I know it's 8.5, but it's tantalizing to me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, the Warriors are 5-0 at home this offseason, and they're also shooting over 50% from the field and over 40% from three-point range. They're just a completely different team, home versus away. And yeah, I think it's going to scare people away that they got beat by 30 plus last game, whatever it was. And yeah, you're right. 8.5. I do agree that it's a lock. I think not a lock. There's no locks in this game, but I do think the Warriors will win. I think they'll beat them pretty bad.
Yeah, and the home team has covered 7 of 8 between these. When these two teams meet, the home team has covered 7 of 8. I thought the staggering trend I saw was that Golden State has won 14 straight Western Conference semifinal home games. So, I mean, the money line is way too expensive, but add that with the fact that the home team is covered in 7 of 8. I think Golden State will be fine. Minus 400 is really expensive, but I was looking through all the sports today, and before we hopped on here, I was like, I feel like this is Golden State winning by any number is the biggest guarantee I've seen in the sports slate for today. No one in their right mind is going to pay minus 400 for that, but
and that's why it's at that number, right?
Like Golden State, yeah, it's just all Golden State here. Steph Curry, 30 or more points in 6 home games against Memphis. So, I expect him to go off and Golden State to win comfortably in this one.
Tom, what do you think about that total at 218.5?
Well, let's see here. Memphis has gone over in 12 of 14 playoff games when they are the underdog. So there is that. The point total continues to alternate between these two teams. In the last 5 meetings, it's gone back and forth. So on May 1st, I think it was, the point total went over. Okay, May 3rd, it goes under. May 7th, it goes over. May 9th, it goes under. And then the 11th, which was that yesterday or 2 days ago? 2 days ago, it went over. So if that continues, you're looking at an under here. And Michael, is all over these point totals in his NBA previews, and the unders have been hitting at a substantial rate throughout the whole postseason. So, if I mixed trends here, if you're telling me I have to make a pick, I'd probably go under.
I'm telling you have to make a pick right now.
Under. I'll go under. Under. Yes,
I will say. I will.
Yeah. Michael, what do you think?
The Warriors have been one of the lone exceptions to that trend where a lot of their games have gone over the postseason. I'm not exactly sure the number, what it is, but most of that Nuggets series we saw overs, and we've seen at least 2 or 3 overs in this series. But the Warriors and Grizzlies have also just been 2 of the highest scoring teams this postseason. I think actually the 2 highest scoring at 114, both scoring about 114 points per game. So I do like the under just because they're also two of the best defensive teams in the league, and I think we will see the Grizzlies play a lot of defense this game if they don't get quite as many shots to fall. So I do like the under, but it's hard to bet under in Warriors games right now.
Yeah, I think if the over were to hit, you'll probably see Desmond Bane go off as he has been going off. He scored 20 or more in 8 of 11 with Jaws out. So they're going to have to lean on him a lot. And he's also hit this is a great prop bet. He's hit 4 or more 3-pointers in 4 or 5 road games. And his over under for 3-pointers is 3.5 at plus 100. So there's some value there, I think, with Desmond Bane. If you think the point total is going over, you think Memphis is going to score a lot of buckets, they're going to have to rely on Desmond Bane. So there's some good props out there for him.
Yeah, I was looking at Desmond Bane right now for point total at 19.5. I mean, that feels like an over, right? With, Grizzlies on the ropes here. He's their best offensive weapon with Ja out. So you got to look at Bane over there. I like that 3-point prop as well. That's a nice nugget, Tom. What do we think about our friend Jaren Jackson Jr.? We're looking at a point total 17.5, and we're looking at rebounds here for Jaren Jackson 7.5. I kind of like the over on both here, again, for the same reason why I like the over for Desmond Bane. But, Tom, you can talk more about the trends for Jaren Jackson here. But I think he's going to show up tonight.
Well, I mean, Michael, doesn't he have like a few 30 burgers under his belt?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm trying to pull up the stat log right now.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
17 and a half.
17 and a half.
21, 21, 33, and 18 in 4 of 6. I mean, you do what you want there. The blocks I find interesting. He's had 2 or more blocks in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of 9 games, and he's had 2 or more blocks in 9 of 11 road games. It's minus 150 over a block and a half, so it's a bit expensive. But he led the league in blocks, so I'd probably go there with Jaren Jackson. Points seem fine though. Looking at his past numbers, I'd go with either of those. So I think blocks is more of a lock though. He had 5. He had 5 blocks. What was it on the 9th in Golden State? So there's that.
So not to go backwards, but I want to talk about the Heat for a second. Now they have a few days to chill. They got everything taken care of in Philly. Doc probably going to be out of there in a few days, right?
I think Michael has a lot to say about the Sixers.
Yeah. So, man, I love Embiid. I love the fact that he called Harden out. Was that either last night or this morning? Michael, I'll just give you the floor here. Sixers, what does this team look like 6 months from now?
6 months from now, it's hard to tell. I mean, just the vibe. I don't even know where to start. Doc Rivers will probably not be around. I would assume that he's first on the chopping block, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of the narrative today has been surrounding people are mad about Harden only taking 2 shot attempts in the second half, but I see that as a coaching issue for the most part. I mean, if you tell James Harden to shoot, he usually shoots. Like, you don't have to tell him twice. I mean, just all kinds of weird things going on that game. From they were able to triple team us at times, or triple team the Sixers at times, just based off the fact you've got Thibault on the floor and they just literally were not guarding him. 6 months from now, I do see Harden staying with this team. I do see him probably taking a pay cut, I would think. But
does Danny Green being out of that game make that much of a difference? I mean, like, if Danny Green were not hurt, does Philly at least keep it close? Because, I mean, even Hubie Brown said they have no organization on offense. And what was it, a 7-minute stretch where the Sixers scored 4 points total? Like, and you just mentioned it's more of a coaching thing. So,
well, that's what I mean, especially I do think Danny Green's absence messes up the Sixers rotations. But at the same time, like, I don't necessarily think you take away Danny Green's shooting ability, it affects them that much. but I think it messes with Doc's head, and I think it did mess with Doc's head. And I think you saw, I mean, there are certain stretches where we don't have anybody on the floor who can score against except Shake Milton. I mean, let Shake Milton cook can't be your strategy, but especially in an elimination playoff game. But
what are you talking
that's
about? That sounds like a winning strategy right there.
Well, it wasn't last night. Don't get me wrong, Shake actually played well last night. But
he's fun. Shake Milton's a fun player.
If he's your best guy on the floor, though, you're not. That's what you get. You get 4 points per quarter or whatever it was. Yeah, that third quarter was insane.
Yeah,
but they also just got slammed on the offensive glass. Embiid looked like he threw in the towel early. I mean, they got beat 13-6 on the offensive glass.
Yeah, that one PJ Tucker offensive rebound putback was just insane. There was 3 Sixers there, and PJ Tucker just vacuumed it and threw it back up, and it went in. I was like, yeah, this team is just thrown in the white towel completely.
Yeah, and it's like I get that they don't have anybody to guard Jimmy Butler, but at the same time, somebody's got to guard Max Strus. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't let him go off for 20 plus a game.
Yeah,
yeah, he had.
No, it just speaks to Miami's depth. Yeah, he was great, and you know, I don't think we're talking about the Heat enough as a team that can go out and win the title this year.
Nobody.
I really don't. I think Miami, with the way everything's shaking out here health-wise, and, you know, Milwaukee and Boston, maybe they go 7 and keep beating each other up here. I don't know, man. Yes, I know the Sixers were flawed and they took care of business, but I think the Heat might be worth a futures play at the moment. I don't know. I haven't looked this morning at where they sit. I have to imagine that it's gotten shorter for Miami. But that – I might be making a little investment after we're done recording here.
I mean, you could just take them to win the East at plus 105. I mean, to win the whole thing at 4-1 is fine too. I guess.
Like, who out west do you think matches up well with this Miami team?
I wouldn't even say out west. I just say the Bucks. Like, I'm still sold that the Bucks are still probably the best team in the NBA, and they don't have Chris Middleton out there. So, you know, I look at Milwaukee at plus 450. I'd probably take that over Miami at 4-1 right now. But I don't mind Miami plus value to win the East at plus 105. If you want to play it a little bit safer, I just personally, Michael's the NBA expert here, but I personally think the Bucks are the best team in the NBA. I don't know if you have a different opinion on that, but like I would maybe Phoenix, but to me, Milwaukee, they're defending champions. Giannis is the best player, so I just like the Bucks.
No, I agree. I mean, right now, the Suns are just kind of wishy-washy right now. But at full kind of when everything's clicking for the Suns, I do think that they are actually a little bit deeper than the Bucks. I think that their supporting cast is a little bit better. But then when you get down to it, I mean, Giannis is just the best player on the floor, and it's not close in that series. But yeah, those are the two best teams in the league, and I think they're in a clear category of their own.
So is Jay Wright going to be the coach of the Sixers this season? Is that why the retirement happened? Was the handshake agreement already in place between him and Daryl Morey?
I think a lot of people in Philly think so. I'm not sold on that necessarily. I mean, I know how you always see the college to NBA transition typically doesn't work out overly well, but it does sometimes. And I think Jay Wright's a great coach. I would love to have him as a coach. I don't know if he will or not.
Tom, got any college basketball intel on that? You think Jay Wright's coaching transitions well to the NBA?
I have no idea. But what I do know is that I'm looking at these NBA Finals MVP odds, and if you really like Miami right now to win the title, Jimmy Butler is sitting there at 7-1, and you have to assume if Miami wins the championship, Jimmy Butler is going to win the MVP. And sure, Kyle Lowry could get healthy, and he's a guy who can go off. And Bam Adebayo is always a threat because he's a really good player. He's all-star caliber. But if you're one of those people who's like, I'm going to take the Heat futures because they did this and that, and they look good, and Spoelstra and all these other things, I just think you look at Jimmy Butler 7-1. Those are the best odds, and the logic would line up with if Miami wins the championship, Jimmy Butler would more than likely be your MVP. So 7-1 odds there for him if you like the Heat.
There you go. A little sprinkle on top there for you people looking at the Heat in the futures market.
Fanatics, all 5 of you.
Let's talk a little NFL schedule here. Why not? They threw the schedule out there. They know we all love NFL, so let's talk about it. Week 1, who you hammering? Tom, where are we going? Where are we making money?
As I'm pulling up the schedule right now, this is the first time I'm looking.
I'll tell you where I'm going first, but while you're getting everything pulled up.
Oh, I've got
Packers. Okay, well, Packers, I think they're 1.5 point favorites last time I looked. At Minnesota. Yeah, I know they lost Devontae Adams, but guess what? They still have Aaron freaking Rodgers. And they're playing the Vikings, who last I checked, Aaron Rodgers kind of owns. So give me him week 1. And I know he came out of the gate slow last year in week 1, but that felt more like an outlier than the norm. Clearly, he had a great season. I'm going Packers week 1. I might put a bet on it right now.
That's not bad. Survival pool. If you're any of those, I think the Colts might be okay. Since they're at Houston, maybe Philly. It's tough to say. You don't know what these rosters are going to look like when week 1 rolls around.
No, it's totally ridiculous to handicap week 1 of the NFL in May. I understand that.
But we will do. I like the primetime games. Primetime games are good. I know Michael's an Eagles fan, so I'm sure he's looking at that Detroit.
You guys had a great draft, dude. You guys had a really good draft.
No, I think one team I'm looking to exceed back is the Ravens. They get the Jets week 1, and the Ravens didn't have a running back all last year. They were beat up in defensive back. I mean, like, they were just so hurt, and they were still decent. Like, I would like to see the Ravens get back, and it would be nice to see them just explode against the Jets in week 1.
Yeah,
Commanders are at home. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, to your Ravens point, they lost 5 games by 2 points or less. It was consecutive weeks when they went for 2, and where they could have easily gone for the tie and gone to OT. So they're right there, clearly. So I like that play. I wonder what their win total's at right now. That might be worth the look. I'm gonna look that up while you guys.
I was gonna say, do we know the total for the Monday night game, Denver at Seattle? I feel like that's an under for sure. Just kind of based on how these two.
The Seahawks suck, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Seattle's not going to score any. Points are going to be tough to come by them. It's 41.5. Yeah, that's what Kevin's saying. I think that might go under. I mean, Denver and these are two teams that went under quite a bit. So I guess it really depends on the production of Denver's offense with Russell Wilson at quarterback, because that's an offense that could put up 30 points itself. Because Javonte Williams, he is really, really good. He's kind of one of the lesser known studs in the NFL. I think once he gets a full workload and conviction from his coaches that he can produce, I think his numbers are going to go off the charts, especially his touchdown numbers. I really like Javonte Williams a lot. And then you pair Russell Wilson in there with some of those weapons they have, those skill players. We'll see what happens with Jerry Jeudy. That's a huge concern right now.
Yeah.
That he just got arrested. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see what Denver's offense can do. But I do think under for that Denver-Seattle game at 41.5 is a pretty good early bet. Maybe you're seeing something around the lines of like 23-10. 41.5 over. I don't know about that one. I'd probably go under just based on everything with that. Yeah.
You guys think Russell Wilson gets booed or cheered?
I think Seattle people are nicer than the East Coast. I think you got your West Coast are a little. I think they'll cheer him on.
Yeah.
It'll be raining and so cold they won't care.
Yeah. In August.
Yeah. I think. Sorry, I didn't want to switch up on you guys, but
no, it's all good.
I think I'm also looking at Titans Giants. I mean, the Titans should be able to just run it down their throats for most of that game. I don't know what the spread is on that, but I'd lay a touchdown there easily.
Well, Derrick Henry is the favorite for comeback player of the year. Is that a bet you would take at 3-1?
Oh, that feels like free money.
Yeah, well, you've got to remember you got all these other players that are coming in. That had bad year. Christian McCaffrey, Daniel Jones. I'm
an anti-Christian McCaffrey guy personally.
Okay.
I think he's too small of a human being to be an NFL superstar. That's always been my take. I used to get a lot of crap for that on DraftKings broadcasts when I'd bring that one to the table. He's too small, man. I'm sorry. You can't give a guy that size that workload. He's just not going to survive.
So it can be done. Like Warrick Dunn did it.
But Warrick Dunn wasn't carrying the ball 400 times a season.
I mean, Sproles.
Well, the Sproles,
another great example. He just didn't touch the ball that much. You can't give
a
guy.
Warrick Dunn was a featured back when one running back was a thing.
True.
And in Atlanta, he was for a little bit. But
the thick dude.
It's more of a coaching thing. Like if McCaffrey gets injury prone running up the middle, stop running him up the middle. Use him in other elements. I would have traded him by now if I'm Carolina. I'm with you, Tom. I think his body isn't big enough. And like I said, though, you do have guys who, like Michael mentioned Darren Sproles and we mentioned Dunn, but you can still, injury proneness is still a thing. So availability is a skill. I really think toughness. Look at Embiid. This kind of going away a little bit, but this man is sitting there playing with a Batman mask on his face and a torn ligament in his thumb. And then you look at Ben Simmons. And so, it's just each player is different. And I do think that McCaffrey, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, he's a weenie, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But he's not tough. I don't want to say that, but he is injury prone. So you have to change your game. And if you're not going to change your game, the coaches have to, and neither have done that. So here we are with McCaffrey. So yeah, Derrick Henry, comeback player.
Yeah, I like it. Is Bills Rams a Super Bowl preview?
Could be. Very well could be.
Is this the year they push through and win the AFC after years of not getting back to the Super Bowl after 4 straight? I think it is. And I hate the Bills. I hate that they have an awesome quarterback. I hate it. But the dude, talking about mutants like Derrick Henry, Josh Allen is a mutant. That guy is not a human being. He can do whatever he wants on the football field. They had a great offseason. They added to an already just impressive defense, getting Von Miller on the defensive line there. I haven't looked at the Bills' schedule, closely yet. In fact, I'll pull it up right now. But I see this as a possible Super Bowl preview in Week 1 because we all know the Rams can get back. They still have all that talent in place. They had a good offseason as well, bringing in Bobby Wagner. They got Allen Robinson. So I don't know.
That's
I'm feeling good about it, guys.
I was wondering why Allen Robinson – it was so random to me. Why is Allen Robinson's Offensive Player of the Year odds going up and no one else's are? Well, that would explain it. He's on a different team.
Yeah. Correct. He got the hell out of there. I always liked the meme where it would be Allen Robinson on the Bears, and it's the Ferrari parked next to the extremely crappy house. So, Michael, what are you thinking about the Eagles for this season? You think they have a chance to kind of take that leap and win the NFC East?
No, not really. But I'm pretty realistic.
It's a volatile division, though. It
is, and I don't think the Cowboys are as good as people think they are. And if anything, I think the team that could sneak out of the NFC East and win it is the Commanders. I actually think Wentz is a huge upgrade for them, and their defense is already solid. They're really well coached. The Commanders are probably there. I think Jalen Hurts' ceiling's really low. I think you kind of see what you get with him. I don't know if he's going to be – they could win the division. But it's just one of those things that I think they're just – A.J. Brown doesn't necessarily put their offense over the top. I thought their defense was kind of just really average, kind of on damage control for most of the year. It wasn't really seem like – I'm used to the – Jim Schwartz defense were super aggressive, and then this defense just kind of seemed like it was a lot of just soft stuff. So I still think the Cowboys will win the division, but you're kind of upset that I'd say Commanders.
It's like a process of elimination almost. You want to pick all these other teams, but you can't. I kind of want The Giants, for me, their big issue was that offensive line, and they took a kid from UTEP, a winless UTEP team in the first round, and the kid's name's Rodriguez. I hate to call him out, but like he's not watching, I promise, so it won't matter. But the Giants then got Evan Neal in the draft. They went out and got a coach from a winning organization, and Evan Neal was actually opened as the favorite to be the first pick in the NFL draft this year. So they went out and they got a good Alabama offensive lineman. And so like I look at the Giants, and if they can protect Daniel Jones, I don't want to say they're going to win the division, but I'm just eager to see if any, what progress they can make. Because to me, the issues for New York begins in the trenches. And I think they know that. I think they've somewhat addressed it. And they're riding with Daniel Jones. So for me, the Giants are, I don't want to say they're going to win the division, but to me, they're the most interesting team that can go in either direction. Because I do think they've identified their problems. I think I don't know if they've cleaned up their problems, but I think they've taken the right steps to clean up those problems. And so and in a division that is somewhat of a toss-up, you got to think, this is an organization who's seen success. Historically, they kind of come out of nowhere every now and then.
Every 7 years.
Yeah, it just feels like a down year in the division where they could take advantage of. Like I said, I'm not going to say they're going to win the division or go to the playoffs, but they have a lot of intrigue to me this year now that they seemingly understood and addressed some of the issues that they've had over the last few years. Like Saquon can't stay healthy because no one on that team can block for him. So. Let's see what this new offensive line, assessment with the Giants. We'll see how it goes this year.
What do we think about your Falcons here, Tom? Getting rid of Matty Ice.
What is there to think about, though?
You like that QB you brought in here? Morton Anderson on Great Dane Nation, or maybe this was off air, I forget. He told me that the dude you brought in, Ritter from Cincinnati, was the steal of the draft.
Maybe. I don't know.
But then he followed that up by saying he reminds him of Marcus Mariota. And I'm like, that's not a steal.
He's a lot bigger than Marcus. Marcus is a little bit smaller.
I tried to tell Morton that that's not a good thing. You don't want to be comped to Marcus Mariota at the NFL level. That's not good.
You don't want your first round pick to be a backup.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I don't know. Like he could be good. He might not be. It'd be nice if he ends up being the quarterback. I don't think he's going to be. But the Falcons have so many other issues that ironically have been the same for nearly 2 decades now. It's pass rush. It's no depth on defense. It's no defense in general. It's holes in the offensive line. I mean, like, there's so many issues with the Falcons. It's not just going to, this isn't just a thing where you can get 1 or 2 players and a quarterback and you're set. If you get a quarterback on that team, he's going to do exactly what Matt Ryan did, run around for his life. So, I just don't think that you can bring Ritter in and think that that's a solution. I mean, maybe 5 years from now, if you want to build the team from the outside in, and I say that from like the outside into the quarterback, most teams get a quarterback, then they build around him. If you want to get the pieces around and then get your quarterback, if there's some guy in college that you like 2 or 3 years from now, that's fine. But this team has way too many issues. And it's been the same issues. It's been whether Dan Reeves is your head coach, Jim Moore is your head coach, Mike Smith's your head coach, Dan Quinn, it doesn't matter. It's always the pass rush, the defense. There's no depth on defense ever. Actually, I take back Dan Reeves. Dan Reeves actually had a pretty good defense with Patrick Kearney. And
Dirty Birds, baby, Dirty Birds.
But, it's usually the O-line and it's usually the pass rush with the Falcons. And it's been that way since Mora was the coach. And I forgot to mention Bobby Petrino. He was there for 13 weeks. But, yeah, so.
You ever want to hear a good Bobby Petrino story?
I see Atlanta's 4.5, 5 win total. I would take the under for that. I just don't see them getting out of the bottom at all.
I was going to say to you, Tom, that 5 felt like the perfect number. Like, yeah, they feel like a 5-win
games last year, but those were all against bad teams. Like they beat the Dolphins without Tua. You know what I mean? Like they beat the Jaguars. It wasn't anything special. So yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna need circumstances to go over that number. Like I can't name 5 teams that the Falcons can beat right now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right.
It's Seattle maybe. If we
Yeah.
play Seattle 5 times, then we're good.
Yeah. They had played Detroit an extra game.
Sneak in another Detroit game. All right, fellas.
Real quickly,
been
though,
fun.
Detroit was really good against the spread last year, so just take that into consideration when you're betting on this year. Kept games close.
Morton Anderson has him making the playoffs as the 7th seed.
I remember him saying that.
Well, I'm sure you can get good odds on that. So
Sure can. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Enjoy the games
you
tonight. Good luck with your bets personally, and obviously to our viewers, good luck with your bets. And everyone stay safe, happy, healthy. And we'll see you on Monday. Kevin Rogers will be back with a brand new edition of Daily Insider.